Hi, I'm Monica.
And I'm Dunya.
Welcome to Sip It, a podcast by SnaptureThis and CreatorClub focused on all things entrepreneurship and cafe culture. Co-hosted by besties and business owners Monica and Dunya.
This podcast will be where we chat all things Toronto, from the cafe and restaurant scene to entrepreneurship and small businesses. We'll be bringing on amazing business owners, influencers, and storytellers from all across Ontario to share their story.
We're recording from CreatorClub, a hub for big ideas, quality content, and impactful stories. The community of creatives is headquartered here in Toronto, connecting brands with a curated group of creators to produce content at scale.
Now it's time to grab a coffee
And sip it. Welcome back to the final episode of Sip It. This is it. We are wrapping season 1. My co-host today looks a little bit different.
Yeah, a lot different.
I've got Daniel with me today, and we are interviewing and having Gabriel with us today. I'm super excited.
No, thank you for having me.
I'm honored that you said yes. I know you're super busy and you're always traveling, so I appreciate you taking the time to sit with us today and
My
chat.
pleasure.
I'm going to let you introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, your relation to the coffee industry, and any other things that you're working on right now.
Okay, well, my name is Gabriel Navarro, and I've been in the industry approximately over like 13, 15 years, in Canada, mainly. I started with, I used to be graphic designer by trade.
Nice.
And
wow.
While I was doing that, I was living in Mexico City. And one of my biggest accounts was a coffee roaster from Italy that was settling in Mexico City. It's called Filicori Zecchini. I don't know if I can say brands or...
That's okay.
Okay.
Yeah, you can.
Filicori Zecchini. And they're based out of Italy, in Bologna, and like they had a big operation. And they give us an opportunity to do designs for them. So after a bit and getting to know the owners, getting to know like what they do and how they do it, and that was my first interaction with coffee. It was like a shot of espresso with 20 spoonfuls of sugar, and it looked like syrup. Just pick it up and thick. Well, not exactly, but it was my first interaction. Even though I've been living in Mexico City most of my life, I never had the opportunity even to drink coffee on a regular basis. So. Yeah, that was my first interaction, and I met this beautiful lady, and I followed her to Canada, and we got married, and we moved to Kelowna, to BC.
Okay.
Nice.
At that time, I was still trying to do graphic design and develop myself, and I get a note from this guy saying like, "Hey, thank you so much, blah blah blah." So we started looking into opening a franchise in Kelowna, in BC, and like. The most remote place from civilization. No, it's a great city. It's a great city. I really like it.
Beautiful there. Yeah.
The Okanagan is fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
The coffee scene is starting to grow a little bit too.
Yeah,
More so wine. It's known for the wine.
Okay, fine.
but
wine.
true. But the coffee scene now, it's getting stronger. There's a few big players on there that are doing a great job,
Yeah.
and thanks to that, there's more jobs for youth, and they're not leaving Kelowna to go to Calgary, Edmonton, or Vancouver. They're staying in Kelowna. So my wife got a huge, well, long story short, we didn't go through the franchise, but we got all the product. They sent me some cups, and it was a great like memorabilia for me. My wife gets a scholarship to study at Ryerson, a master's in journalism. So we decided to make the move. And I started working at my first cafe. In order for me to open a cafe, I wanted to have my own coffee shop. I wanted to serve coffee. And I realized I had no idea what I was doing when, okay, let's do the franchise. How do you like press the button? Like what comes out? Like no idea. So I thought the best way was to start from the bottom, like from the bottom. And I know this is going to be out there, but probably the guys from Thor, Tom and Patrick, they've given me the best training of coffee that I've ever had. Like Patrick was so strict, but at the same time, there were a lot of teaching moments like, don't ever do that. Please don't ever do that kind of situation where it marked me into what I do today and how I teach today and how I consult today. It was great. It was a great experience. My first experience, Thor Espresso Bar was fantastic. I got to meet a lot of great people in the design district, people that were in the fashion industry, that were in apps and crypto at the time, and it was a lot of interesting people. I realized that I wanted to learn more and more and more. Plus, that shop had the first Slayer, in I think in Toronto or in the East Coast. So Slayer is a very particular machine that at that time ran manually. So it was not that you push the button and sorry, the machine is not. No. It's your problem. It's your mistake if something goes wrong with the machine. That's why I'm telling you that was one of the best trainings, by calibrating the machine, having to add or take coffee out. Like I kind of understood what I had to do. Then I moved into a different coffee shop up in Riverdale. I learned how to do volume. Then they also gave me the opportunity of helping them open the second location. After that, I worked with R Squared, that's no longer around, by a couple of families that were from Iran. And
I remember R Squared. They had really good food there too.
oh my goodness, it was fantastic. The food, the coffee, the community. Those probably have been one of the best bosses I've ever had. And at the time I was having my first baby, they were almost my age. So we got along really well. I learned a lot about not only coffee, but community and how they manage the space, and they manage the place in order to like invite more people, not only to drink coffee, but to have their art in the walls, and to they were starting to create community. Then I applied for, after that I decided to move on, and I applied to Soho House. At the beginning, they didn't give me a job. They were like, nope, we don't need a barista. We're not interested in coffee, blah, blah, blah. And I got a little tip from one of the chefs. They were like, hey, do it again. So I dropped my resume a few times, and then I just gave up. And they called me for an interview after, I think it was like 4 months.
Okay.
Great. I thought it went great, and I was so excited. And, yeah, we'll call you. I'm like, okay. They didn't call me in a month, and I was like, you know what? This is my last chance. I'm gonna go and like very well dressed up. I bought a suit.
Wow.
I put it on.
Super persistent.
And I was gonna drop the resume. Initially, I was having the interviews outside of Soho House. They had a little office, and I had no idea where Soho House. I knew the address, but then you come around and you don't know where it is.
Yeah.
So there's this guy outside and smoking, and it's like, excuse me, sir. And he's like, what? And I'm like, do you know where Soho House is? And he's like, oh yes, come with me. So we go in all the way, and it was Keith Sutherland, the guy from 24.
Okay.
And he thought I was going to ask for an autograph or something like that. And I didn't recognize him. It's dark.
So he was happy you treated him as just a random guy on the street.
I had no idea. Otherwise, oh my God, can I get your autograph? So he gets me all the way in with the GM, and hey, this guy's looking for you. So I look at him. He's like, and he sighs. I'm not going to swear, but like, you. So I dropped the resume, and a couple of days later, I just got hired. So,
What was the role?
just barista, being a barista. Again, I learned a lot about the restaurant industry. This is my first experience in a restaurant setting. Again, had great people working with me. I learned a lot, and I started applying what I learned in specialty coffee in Soho House, something that they didn't really know at the time, even though there was someone else in the UK doing the same thing I was doing, and we were going at the same pace. He became my boss because UK was global, and I was just in North America. And I remember having all these members sitting down, but they will bring their Starbucks or their Tim's or their like all the crappy. Like, what are you drinking? Oh, it's a vanilla latte. Give me 1 second. I'll make a vanilla latte. And I started making crazy latte at the time. A swan, a teddy bear. And there's a policy in Soho House where no pictures allowed. I was the most tagged person in Soho House, Toronto for the longest time because, oh my gosh, this is a great idea, blah, blah. So little by little, it took us over a year to make that switch of people not bringing their cups in. I did get a lot of help at the time with this other roaster is called Demelo Paleta.
We love DeMello.
Okay. No, they're great. They're great. Felix was the one who helped me a lot to develop all that. He helped me create a roasting profile where we went from the darkest coffee to slowly making a change till we got to specialty coffee. It took us a year to get to that point. He was explaining, well, you cannot just like start giving them Ethiopian.
Yeah.
They're gonna be like, well, what is this brightness? What does this taste like lemon? So we started making the change little by little, and well, I traveled with the guy. He helped me develop a few other events with Soho House, and then thanks to his help, thanks to my persistence,
The suit.
a suit, I get a call from the director of North America. Hey, you're doing crazy stuff. Come meet me. So I went to meet him, and he told me, well, the same day you changed Toronto, can you do it with New York? And I'm like, yeah, absolutely. Inside, like, I have no idea what I'm going to do. Who am I going to call? I know no one in New York, like nothing. So long story short, they hired me for this bigger position as a coffee quality control manager and for North America. Wow. So they send me to the UK. They see, I started learning all their tricks and courses, and they're in a different level. They have 3 managers like me, plus the head of coffee, and they're doing crazy stuff. You go to this, they had this cafe is called Cicconi's. Beautiful place, but very Italian. They were crushing tulips, and the coffee was fantastic. And it's all because of the consistency of the managers. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm the only one in North America. How am I going to do it? Blah, blah. So I decided to create my own program. And in each location, in each house, I was able to hire one manager, one barista that was in charge of that, one guy or girl that were crazy about coffee. They want to make a change. Okay, I knew they were going to push. So thanks to this people that were working with me at the time, it was amazing. There was this lady I remember. Her name is Amy Finn. If she ever listens to this, now she works for a tea company, but she stirred the waters in a way that I will get a call every week. Hey, Amy's doing this. Like, yeah, that's fine. Oh, it is. Yeah. Then I'll call. Hey, why are you doing this? You need to let me know that you're doing it. Like, it's great. Let's do it. Let's push it. Like, she will just stir the waters in a way that there was a noticeable change to a point that North America started making sales, and they saw the benefit of coffee. In all those experiences, I had the ability to feature whomever I wanted. So yeah, DeMello was the staple for Toronto. But then I will have Sam James for Drip. I got at the time it was George Howell that we got from Boxcar. Eventually, we got even Reunion Island. We got everyone, Pilot. We had everyone under the sun. The whole point was to give a little bit back to the coffee community, and we will host events, coffee events, latte art competitions. At the time, all of us were so young, and we had such an amazing time. It was such a great time to start creating a community, and I feel grateful to be part of this community. I have competed. I have traveled. Have all the bells and whistles when it comes to coffee. So I was paid for all that. So that gave me a lot of opportunities to understand and learn other perspectives and to apply it into what I was doing in Canada. After that, I decided to open a coffee consulting. There's a lot of consultants out there. There's a lot of people that do a really good job. But thanks to building all these cafes inside Soho, we learned that we need certain filters, certain espresso machines, grinders, a certain flow of how to make coffee that I thought it was the best. Again, this is all very personal, and that's not necessarily that this has to be the norm. But I realized that a lot of people that open their cafes, they're like, oh my gosh, I have this amazing machine, amazing grinder. Hey man, what's your filtration system looking like? My filtration what? And they will miss a few things. They will invest a lot in the equipment and then get pretty crappy coffee. Or they'll get amazing coffee and amazing little small wares, and then let's get that espresso machine that is $2,000 instead of investing in like, okay, maybe if it's above $10,000, that means that not only is quality, but it will last us for a little bit longer.
Yeah. One thing that I've like learned kind of over the last like few years is there are so many pieces to building out the cafe. It's not what people think. Like, it's not just the machine and coffee. It's like literally even listening to people talk about their filtration systems and the type of water and like all the like little things that play a huge role. And the more you like go to these coffee shops, you start tasting the difference.
Yeah.
And like literally even like the filtration of the ice like makes a huge difference in the taste. Like it's it's like it's all important. Like, and it's amazing that you took on the role of like helping people kind of build out their cafes.
Yeah, I started helping, and then I saw that I could do a business out of it and help people. I want to say more professionally in that area. But yeah, you're right. Like playing with filtration, I've learned from a lot of people. Like there's this guy that does a great job, Callum. There's also Dave Kanda from Water for Coffee. There's the guy, even the guys from Pilot. They've done a great job with their filtration system. Very similar, the three of them.
This is like super nerdy combo, but
Very niche.
You exchange this cartridge, and then you'll allow magnesium and zinc go through, and then you put this other like just and there's a difference when you try the water. There's a noticeable difference. So then you start nerding out like, okay, my Ethiopian coffee or Brazilian coffee tastes like this, but if you take this element from water, it will taste different.
Yeah.
It starts adding. You're right, ice.
Yeah, ice is
When it's
so important.
filtered water,
I swear it's so important.
For someone who drinks exclusively iced coffee, that makes a big difference.
I literally won't go to a cafe if they don't serve ice. But that's Nava was like the first time I went. I was so nervous. You actually served me.
No way.
Yeah.
No, I do remember.
You do you?
Yeah, of course I know who you were.
No, the
Yes.
first time I didn't introduce myself.
But I knew who you were.
Oh, you did? You didn't say anything.
No, I didn't.
You shook up my drink, but you guys didn't have cold lids, cold cups at the time.
No.
So I had
there
to
was an
drink it in
issue.
a hot cup. So
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, with the
it's sad.
pandemic, it was very
Yeah.
hard sometimes to get certain cups and certain lids.
yeah.
That machine, the Nava that you used to go, we hooked it up to its own filtration system. So if you were to go to the back, it was crazy. It was a bunch
Yeah.
of filter.
I'm sure.
And each, we had a different filter for the drip coffee, for the ice machine, for the espresso machine. The espresso machine there was actually Odin, the guys from Thor.
Yeah.
That machine was there since the beginning.
So just to like recenter, sorry, I like took you off track a little bit.
No, it's okay.
So can you just talk about how you opened that cafe, the story a little bit, whatever you're comfortable sharing behind Nava
absolutely.
and
So when I left Soho, I started doing consulting, and I decided to open my own consulting firm. So I opened and helped people open cafes like Sorry Coffee. I worked very close at the beginning with Backroad Coffee Roasters as well.
I've tried to go to them.
Great people. It's fantastic. If you ever have the time to go to Port Credit and take the time, Sorry was a great concept. I thought it was fantastic. That was my first consulting gig, and Felix from DeMello at the time, he helped me. Okay, what do we need? Okay, we need an espresso machine. We're gonna get an espresso machine. Like shoot. So I didn't know what to do, so I reached out to another company in the States. It's called Espresso Parts, and it was the first. We went all nuts. We coated the espresso machine with a copper vinyl. The same thing with the grinders. Same thing with it looked very unique. And for me doing this one for the first time, it was like it was like my golden ticket. Oh yeah, that's my first one. Wait till you see what I can do next.
Right.
I didn't know what's going to come next.
So you kind of behind the scenes in a lot of these.
I'm always behind the scenes.
Yeah.
The whole point of being a consultant is they hire you to help them. So it's not your place to be, oh yeah, I'm here and be in the picture. Like, no, I help you. This is your shop. This is your thing.
Right.
Go crazy.
And then eventually you decided to take the leap into launching your own.
It was more of a pandemic need because, well, at the time when I was doing consulting, we were working with bigger brands like Danone and like Coffee and Donuts people, and we were doing Fleet's Coffee as well. That is another concept that instead of you tracking Uber Eats tracks you and makes you get your coffee faster. We worked with several roasters in North America, in Europe, now also in Mexico. But when the pandemic hit, of course no one's open anything. Oh, of course no one is doing absolutely anything. So I lost, I would say 90% of my staff for what used to be Napoleon's hat. We reopened it, kind of in a way. And now Erica used to work for me as a manager in Nava. She's now the lady in charge, the CEO of that program. But we lost everything, and I knew a few people that were part of that group that allowed me to develop a little bit of the Nava Social situation. It was a great concept. I met a lot of great people. We were at a point after probably 6 months, we will get resumes just from managers who wanted to work with us, because in order for you to have a successful business, I believe, is not the business. The business can, like, the physical place can crumble down. Is the people that you need to take care of. So we start taking care of people. The time my business partner allowed me to give them benefits and a really good wage, a wage that some of the managers were making less than what we're offering as a barista. So imagine this great manager coming in as a barista, no worries at all, just making coffee, having a smile, and how you doing? Have a good day, and let's keep on going. So they had a good wage. Of course, there were entry-level wages, and they had to, like, progress. Yep. Some of our managers were doing fantastic as well. If they were taking care of that end, they will be able to be more creative instead of, okay, what am I going to eat? How am I going to pay rent? What am I going to do here? So we scratched that. My business partner at the time, he allowed me to, like, scratch that. So we're very creative. We'll come up with amazing drinks, amazing services. At the time, we had that little shelf space that we allow people to bring their own things. Like, there were people making soap. Put your soap over there.
Cool.
You promote it, I promote it. It will get sold out. In Canadian coffee scene, world coffee scene, everyone pretty much, you can reach out to anyone. Everyone knows everyone. When there's like a specialty association events, everyone sees everyone. Recently, we had one here in the RC show. I literally just went to see all my buddies in coffee. How they doing?
It's a pretty small community once you start to get to know everyone.
Yeah.
And you hear the names everywhere. That's really like how sorry to interrupt you, but that's how I like got to know you. It's like everywhere I went, people knew you and your name came up all the time. So it was like, shit, like I want to get to know him. Like literally everyone knew you. And it was like really cool to see how small.
There's good and bad.
The coffee, no, in a good way. It was always good. And it was, sorry.
I was going to say coffee is so mainstream, right? Mm-hmm. But, and most people get their coffee from like the big chains, right? Mm-hmm. But when you look at this, it's surprising to see how tight-knit this community can be.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I really love the small community that exists on time. And now we see, well, I'm old now. I've been in the industry for over 10 years. So you see all the new generations popping up and having the same, looking at them, having the same, I know that sounds like very old comment, but look at them trying to get where I was at the time. Like, no, you know what? Don't do that. Maybe do this. Oh my gosh, you're so right. Like, yeah. And then, oh my gosh, Dad, you were so right. But it's that willingness of probably my coffee generation that is trying to help the other generations. Yeah. I can only speak for myself, but I know that there's a lot of stories out there. But my generation was not really pushed or helped.
Yeah.
And in many ways with coffee, we had to figure things out on our own. Reach out to other countries. Reach out to other specialists, other coffee people.
But like a huge shout out to you. I mean, even when I asked to like sit and chat with you, you were willing to like sit and talk and give advice. And I mean, I would love to open a cafe one day. That's been a dream of mine. So just you sitting down and chatting with me, and like I threw some like resumes of people that I had known and you already knew them, and it was a great chat and helpful. So you guys don't have to do it. So
But look at it this way: like if you get the right information, the right guidance, and if you open and start growing, that means that our industry is going to start growing in the right direction. So I only see it in that way. Of course, I need to make a living, I need to make money, and all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, if you don't grow, I don't grow as a company, as a consultant, as a person, as a coffee community. So why not just, if you needed certain things, it's literally an email away.
Yeah.
It's, hey, how you doing? Meet, blah, blah, blah. Send.
It's networking. I mean, I left the corporate world, and, you know, networking is a huge part of that life, but even in the small business world, there's a huge need and push for like people to network and build communities and build like, I mean, I hadn't even turned on my LinkedIn for a while because I didn't think it was like a part of this world, but I've turned it back on and I said meet with people and get advice, and I try to do the same. I know I don't have 10 years under my belt in my industry, but if I can help like again the next generation, it's so important. And it's again huge shout out to you for doing that for the younger generation.
Yeah.
We're trying to get this up and running. Like if the industry grows, we all grow.
Well, I always say there's room for all of us, and like there are hundreds of cafes in the city, but there's still room. I mean, and in other industries too. But you know, it's either like we talk about like community over competition, and there are people who really clue into that and are about that, and then obviously there are the ones who don't see it that way, and that's totally fine. But
valid.
It's beautiful to see the people that, I mean, even in our conversation sitting outside, you threw out so many names of people that helped you and were there for you, and you know, like I go on to say the same thing about people like you. Like I appreciate the support and the advice, so you just have to like keep that going.
No, yeah, absolutely.
So that being said, for people who are listening who are interested in opening their own cafe in the future, what's some kind of core pieces of advice? You know, not the niche details of the equipment,
not the filtration systems.
Yes, but what are some of those like really important best practices that kind of come top of mind that maybe people don't think about?
Number one, learn how to make coffee. If you know how to make coffee, it doesn't matter if the machine is $2,000, $1,000, or $40,000. You're able to make. If you understand what you're doing, the principle of making coffee. I cannot say to making proper coffee because everyone has a different way of drinking coffee, and also realizing that everyone is different. Every palate is completely different. I cannot tell you guys this is the best coffee in the world. You will taste like, oh, this is disgusting. It's about palate. It's about aging. It's about gender. What your body perceives while drinking it. So what the best coffee for me could be is not the best coffee for you guys. So that's something that needs to be, when you open a cafe, you just cannot take your own persona under consideration. This should be, of course, like your own touch in certain things. But if you want to cater to the community, you need to start what the community is drinking. If it's a little bit more chocolatey notes, more sweeter notes, and then introduce a little by little. Hey, you know what? I found this fantastic geisha village that will taste like lemon meringue and some cocoa notes with some blush of strawberry. There's coffees that exist like that, but not everyone's gonna be into that. Mm-hmm. So you need to be mindful in serving what your community needs, what your area is looking for. Of course, having a cafe is a great experience, especially if you like coffee, if you like tea, if you like serving, if you like food. It's a community hub. Coffee will always be a community hub, even more than bars. Maybe I'm going to get killed for that, but even more than bars or restaurants, coffee is always a community hub. It makes you be alert. It makes you work. It makes you think. It's always like you're always awake when you're drinking coffee, and you're always like on motion, not just like creative ideas and all that. Like, there's coffee. Probably she doesn't have coffee, but everyone.
He actually doesn't drink coffee.
I don't drink coffee, but
okay, I'm out.
Yeah, we'll take right. Let's just leave.
Cut that. Cut that out of the
but he loves tea.
I love cafes. I love tea.
Yeah.
I will explore not as many cafes as Monica, but I will. I've been to tons of them.
Yeah, you've been to lots.
Tons.
Yeah.
And I thoroughly enjoy the cafe experience, regardless of what I actually order. So that's one of the reasons why I'm so interested in your experience, because you've seen so many different types of cafes in your consulting.
Yeah, right? a lot of them like huge projects, or we even did a project in Detroit where this was even before I was doing Tokyo Smoke, but they were doing a cannabis store with a coffee shop. So we were able to source the equipment, to source the coffee. We went into Detroit and see all this great coffee scenes. Detroit, at the time, Detroit was not doing really well when we were doing that. So it was a little bit of a war zone, but the coffee scene was there, and food and people doing all this great stuff. Coming back to you, one of the reasons I kind of became acquaintances of this young lady was most of the times people just call me. Hey, I need this. Hey, can you get me in touch with this? She got in touch with me because she showed me that my little Nava cup was in a bag, and I was like, I bought a few of them. I still have a frame in my house where I bought the print,
Nice.
and I could see the logo. The logo was created by a lady. Now she lives in Portugal, Marina, and when we saw it, like, yeah, that's the one. And then we see it used by someone else in a print with
permission. I asked permission.
Yeah. She did ask for permission. For the record, she did ask for permission. With all this great cafes, it was a combination of everything. Having my cup in a print in a bag with all this amazing other coffee shops that were part of it is like, I feel very special and very honored. And it's like, well, we're gonna have it. And like, yeah, I'll buy as many as we need to buy it. I think most of my staff got one tote. I still have my tote.
Yeah, you
It
were
was-
spotted around the city with it too. People would
Yes.
send me pictures of him wearing it.
I love
And it
that.
was like,
Yeah.
yeah, he's the owner. Stop taking pictures.
There was one time that someone was taking a picture of me and like, oh, maybe they're taking pictures of something else or whatever.
Oh my gosh.
I was going between all my coffee shops and yeah, I remember. And then I see it posted and like, oh, that was that. Okay, that's interesting.
Spotted.
But going back to the coffee shop scene, it was a great experience. I was able to work with amazing people, with Erica, with Anas, with Blythe, the pastry chef that now she's in London studying at Cordon Bleu.
Wow.
Yeah, she played a huge part on the growth of Nava. Blythe created some cookies that chefs that came from other countries that I knew from Soho and past events that we had, they would try the cookie and literally like their eyes were like, oh my gosh. It was not necessarily, I don't want to say crack cookie, but because that's already used by a crack pie somewhere else. But it was very close. People were I was obsessed with those cookies. Like when I will see her making them, she would just get out of my kitchen. Because she knew that I was going to steal something from that. It was her kitchen. She took authority and ownership of that kitchen like no one else. It was not my kitchen. It was not my coffee shop while she was in there. It was her kitchen. It was her duty, and I love that. She made this banana cakes. I'm salivating right now. She made this banana cakes, and like she made a fantastic job. And thanks to that and a few drinks that we created, we were put on the map like almost immediately.
Well, you guys crushed the social media scene. Like crushed it with the drinks.
We had help
the butterfly
as well.
pea drink was all over social media, and you guys like there were multiple drinks that went super viral, and the cafe aesthetic went super viral. So was that intentional? Was the social media intentional,
Yes
or did
and
it
no.
just kind of happen? Or
I was
Yeah.
completely opposed to doing all this colorful things, but then I was reminded you need to cater for your community
Yeah.
and not what you like. So like, oh shit, you're right.
Right.
I could hear my voice saying like, yeah, that's the way it is. So we had a few social media experts working with us. That's what they did. They were just dedicated to do that at any single time. Photographs every week, constant posting, constant interaction with people. That was also very helpful. That was very, 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 very helpful. We got a big hit with the butterfly pea flour. We used so this brand's called Pluck, and we just mix it with a little bit of milk, steam it or shake it in ice, and serve it, and it will come up really nice. And a famous TikToker went in, took a post, little dance after that, and voila, we're everywhere.
Yeah.
We had people over the weekends coming from Markham, coming from London, come from any city that was like a 2-3 hour away, just to come and try that. Of course, they were visiting, but that was one of the stops. They were coming and drinking our coffee, coming in and for the cakes, for the cookies. we're selling out
So
of everything.
is that something that you invested in, or was that all organic when it comes to like influencers, or, we know that when, like, let's say BlogTO shows up at a cafe, there's lineups the next day, right?
A combination of both. When we start getting hyped up by influencers and them trying to try all this kind of stuff, it was very easy for us to reach out to BlogTO. It was very easy to reach out to Vice. It was very easy because we were out there already. It did happen organically, but thanks to the team that we had, they pushed. They will prep me into an interview because I still struggle a little bit and I stutter in a lot of things. So after that, it was a little bit more prepped. And for example, BlogTO went in to the St. Clair location. It was a fantastic time. I was making coffee for them. We were just chatting. And suddenly I see this amazing article, and I was like, when did this happen? Like, I was actually legit having fun. The photographer, like, I don't know, Gabe, just move like this, put your feet like that, and do this and do that. And suddenly you see the pictures, and like, okay, I don't remember this.
They have an amazing team.
I don't remember this. And so those experiences were they're very cool to be part of and being around. I had to move on from there. Me and my business partner at the time, we didn't get along that much. So he wanted to continue doing Nava, and I left April of last year to continue. On the side, I was doing mezcal and coffee and mezcal and all that. So at least I could do I fell in love with this brand, Marine, and he one day showed me in one of my trips to Mexico, because that was my goal, to open something in Mexico as well. And one of my trips to Mexico, he brings this mezcal that I brought for you guys to try as well, mezcal with coffee. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's going to be like whatever. Literally the moment that my lips touched that thing, I was like, what is this? This is like heaven. This is nothing that I've ever tried in my life. Because I've had mezcal and coffee, tequila and coffee, and it's very strong, very, very bitter. This one had a perfect balance. He's super strict with all the profiles that he uses, so it didn't surprise me. But after trying it, I was like, how do we bring it up here? So eventually I started partnering with them in other ventures, and now we're going to bring it here in a few months.
Do you want to show us the bottle?
Yeah, sure. So this is the one that made me get into mezcal.
Very cool.
It's a good time.
Yeah.
Isn't it? So now that's what I'm doing. I've been going back and forth to Mexico. At the moment, also, I'm working for a company that's called Nantel. They're the ones responsible, Nantel McDermott. They're the ones responsible for bringing big brands of oat milk and alternative milks into the country.
Oh, cool.
Plus other things. And I work for them as a representative of Toronto. Great team. I've worked.
What are some of the brands that they
bring Oatly. They bring Mina Figures into the country.
Nice.
They are bringing another brand that is called Bonsoy. It's Australia, Japan, but soy milk tastes delicious. Their almond milk, their soy milk tastes delicious.
You've lost me.
Yeah, well,
Hey,
again,
I'm all plant-based.
there's a
He's
different
in.
market.
I'm in.
He stopped it.
I'm all on the plant-based milk. So
It's a different, definitely a different. That hits everyone the same way. Promise.
Yeah, no, I'm a dairy girl, but
Oatly's pretty amazing from the oat milk perspective,
pretty
and it
good.
wasn't in Canada for a while.
literally a drop.
Yeah, and we're not going to be. I know it's very early. We're not going
That's
to be
good.
drinking.
Yeah, you can add it to your coffee.
Okay.
Thank you, Valentina. We are doing shots. Would you like some? It's his brand. He works with them.
So yeah, now that I see that there's not a lot of mezcal in the. No, I promise you won't.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
I'm literally taking
So we say
a touch of it.
What is it?
coffee and mezcal. Just smell it first.
Okay.
Cheers.
Cheers.
It's good.
I'm tasting it. I'll finish it.
I shot it. Was I not supposed to do that?
Yeah,
It's okay.
It was very nice.
You want another one?
No.
No, okay.
Very nice.
Yeah, that's
Have it,
good.
Daniel?
Yeah, it's
It
sweet.
tastes like coffee.
It's
Thanks.
sweet.
Yeah, it tastes like coffee.
I don't like coffee, but it is sweet. It's sweet, and I like it.
Yeah, I started crushing this with with my friend, and
Yeah, that's very easy to drink.
yeah.
I had an espresso martini for the first time like a week ago.
And how did it go?
It was amazing. I had it at the Ace Hotel. It was
Oh, yeah.
very good.
Wow.
And they
Yeah,
serve
yeah.
Sam James there,
Yeah,
so
they
I'm sure
do.
they're using
Yeah,
it.
they do. So my experience with Nava was I learned a lot. I learned how to work with people, and not having people working for me. I know it sounds like everyone says very vague, but once you realize that people can work with you, managers are on your side.
You built a really amazing team. Like the entire Nava team was really amazing. I met so many of them, and even when like your post on social media when you were leaving, like I mean I read like so many of the comments, and people like it truly showed how much of an impact you had on people and built a community there and a family. And even afterwards, like I always saw you with Erica, and I saw you with other people, and people still wanted to work with you. Like people would ask me, like I had a couple girls who were like, how do I like, is he opening something else? Is he doing something else? Like, can he, like people wanted to work with you, and that's a huge reflection on you. So
It's nice to hear, of course, but at the same time, from now on, I know now that how to create that community again. I really
Yeah.
hope that sooner than later, we'll have another location where we can explore different things, and
Yeah.
I will include the mezcal now, and
Nice.
Yeah.
some tastings and education, because initially
cafe
that was
bar.
yeah. Eventually, one day.
What are you currently working on? What are you working on in the future? Any plans to open a cafe in Toronto again?
So at the moment, I'm working with Nantel. I'm really happy working with them, and I've learned a lot about alternative milks and how important is to have the right alternative milk for the right coffee, for the right cafe, for the right scene. They have so many options that to me is very easy to be like, oh, it's this, it's Miracle Kitchen, it's Oatly, it's my favorite, whatever brand it is.
Yeah.
I'm also working with minor figures to bring them into Mexico, to import them to make. At some point they did, but the contact that we had didn't work out. So I reached out again. They said like, okay, let's try again. So hopefully in the next couple of months we'll have some pallets down in Mexico. I'm going to start importing into Canada mezcal. Not only this brand, but several other brands, because what I've noticed in Canada is that you will see a brand and it will disappear after a few months and never come back.
Yep.
There's no representation in the country. There's no follow-up. It's very confusing to work with people like the LCBO, with people like SAC, with people, all the things that, all the liquor concessions that the government works with. It's very confusing.
Very competitive for shelf space within the LCBO.
And if you don't speak the language, even worse. So once in a while, you'll see a brand in the shelf disappear. Another brand in the shelf disappear. There's like 4, 5, maybe 6 brands that are always in. Not my preferred brands to be drinking mezcal. I know what I'm looking at mezcal. A lot of people don't know about what mezcal is. Is that tequila? Like, no, actually, tequila is a mezcal. It's a different variety. So it's a huge conversation that now we've as a community, they've had a conversation in the States. Now the States knows what mezcal is. Europeans love mezcal. Obviously, Mexico, every time that I go to Mexico and then I come back, and my body's like, are we dying? Like, have you drank a lot of and just by tasting, little tastings here and there. So that's my plan so far. Coffee shop wise and bar wise, there's talks, there's thoughts. I cannot really say anything yet because we don't really have a plan.
Well,
I don't really
I
have a
hope
plan.
you open something truly. So maybe in a year we can loop back on this and
Yeah.
and see
Absolutely.
what you've opened.
Maybe we can have it in the new coffee shop.
Perfect. Awesome.
Season 2.
Yeah,
So just-
season 2. Yeah.
Just to close out on this, if you want to shout out any of your businesses, websites, social media, and maybe like 1 or 2 other businesses in Toronto, whether it's cafe or not, that you love and support.
Yeah, well, as I say, I'm working for Nantel and McDermott. My company here in Canada is called Mila & Co. And Mila.co. and we're bringing Marine and Marine. I have another company in Mexico. It's called Sagrado Maguey, that we do tastings and we do education. If people are educated, they will know what to buy and not just buy. If people are educated, for example.
Yeah, you have to educate the people.
You stop buying Starbucks. You stop buying the big generic ones, and not only supporting local, but supporting good coffee. Buying good coffee doesn't mean that you're just supporting this local people. You're supporting the people that roast it. You support the people that sourced, that picked it.
Yeah.
So it's that mindset that we're trying to achieve also with mezcal. And Sagrado is doing a great job. I do enjoy a lot Subtex. I do Fika. I absolutely enjoy not only the combination of this cardamom latte with the cinnamon buns that he makes.
Shout out to Yadi.
Fika's a great place to visit in the summer with their little backyard.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
I was there yesterday.
And probably right now my favorite cappuccino. I enjoy a cappuccino in the morning, and then I'll just drink espresso all day. The library.
Okay, yeah, love them.
Oh my gosh, it's like I try not to like him because I spend so much money there, but then I go in like, oh yeah, that's why I come here. It's a good fix.
Amazing.
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna close out. I just wanted to thank you again for coming on.
Thank you for having me. It was
Appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule and travels and everything. So I hope we can stay in touch and hear what other things you get up to, and maybe in a year loop back on this.
Yeah.
Thanks to Daniel for co-hosting with me today. And that's a wrap on season 1 actually of Sip It.
Thank you for having me, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Sip It. Make sure to stay tuned for next week's episode. Subscribe, follow, and leave us a comment on who you'd like to see us bring on in the future. See you next week.
Sip It is produced by Creator Club Downtown Toronto. Fellow entrepreneurs, if you're thinking of starting a show of your own, Creator Club offers a super simple, scalable process to create high-quality content, access to talent, and a fully equipped studio to record your content. Be sure to connect with the team at creatorclubstudios.com and follow at Creator Club Studios on Instagram for more.